Hey everyone, Bill Lethman here for MoneyEvolution.com. And in today's video blog, I wanted to uh, recap a little bit about what we talked about in yesterday's video blog. So yesterday's video blog, I talked about what to do if you think you're behind in saving money for retirement. And I think obviously that affects a lot of people. And if you missed yesterday's video blog, be sure to go back and check that out. What I wanted to talk about here today is maybe a little slightly different version of what could be that same individual. And that's somebody that is behind on saving for retirement, but they don't know that they're behind on saving for retirement. And I think this actually encapsulates a much bigger audience. So there's actually a quote from one of my favorite movies, The Big Short, which I highlighted in my Top 5 Friday a couple weeks ago, 5 favorite Wall Street movies. But the quote is from Mark Twain. I think it opens up the movie. It says, "It ain't what you know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so." And so, like I said, I think there's a lot of people that may actually be earning a lot of money. They may actually even be saving a lot of money. People that maybe even have hundreds of thousands of dollars or maybe even $1 million saved up for retirement, but they really haven't properly analyzed what it's going to actually take for them to be able to retire. And even though they may have that large chunk of money, they may be giving themselves a false sense of hope there that that's going to be enough to get them where they need to be for retirement. So I think there's really three primary reasons why I think some people may be underestimating how much it's going to actually cost for them to retire. Number one is they haven't really taken into consideration how maybe not having a pension or maybe having a pension plan that's frozen, how big of an impact that actually is going to have on their retirement cash flow. So in some of our other presentations, we've done an example that actually came from a real client of ours. They were about 50 years old and were expecting about a $50,000 annual pension. And their company that they worked for froze the pension, and after that pension freeze, that knocked that pension expectation down from $50,000 a year down to just $18,000 a year. So a loss of $32,000 of income. So that's obviously very significant, and I think those pension freezes obviously hit those people in those maybe mid-50s age range probably the hardest, harder than anybody else. So we've talked a little bit in some of the other video blogs about the 4% rule. So giving up a $32,000 pension benefit, we can very easily do the math backwards on that, divide 32,000 by 0.04, and it tells us that that $32,000 to replace that would actually take about $800,000 of assets to be able to generate and have a good chance that that's going to be able to provide $32,000 a year for the rest of their life. So underestimating some of those things, I think, is a really big deal. The second thing is that I think a lot of people really haven't stopped to think about how they're going to maximize all of their retirement resources. Again, I think there's a lot of people that are saving money. They think they're doing a pretty good job because they're seeing their 401k plan balance grow, but they really haven't stopped to think about how all of those resources are going to be able to provide income for them over their lifetime. So Social Security is a big one, and we talk a lot about that here, but I think a lot of people really aren't truly maximizing their Social Security benefit. In fact, we know they're not because the statistics actually show that about 60% or more actually collect their Social Security benefits early before their full retirement age. And the difference on that is huge. So 62 is the earliest that you can collect Social Security benefits. Age 70 is the maximum age that you can continue to get those Social Security benefits to grow. And the difference between the amount you can collect at age 62 versus the amount at age 70 is about twice as much by waiting. So that is a big deal. And so one of the things that we try to help people do is try to figure out a way that they can delay collecting those Social Security benefits so they can maximize those not only for their self, but also for their spouse and their surviving beneficiaries as well. It's very important, and I think a lot of people are missing that. And finally, the third thing that I think people may be underestimating here are healthcare costs. And when I started doing the research for my retirement planning class, I did a lot of research on Social Security and Medicare, and basically what I kind of came up with is that Social Security, although it's not perfect, it looks like with possibly a couple small tweaks, the government could probably keep Social Security benefits in place, and nobody probably has to worry too much about the Social Security benefits completely going away or getting cut in any dramatic way. But when I started doing the research, what I really found is that the bigger issue for not only the government, but for individuals as well, are the escalating healthcare costs. So as an example here, Social Security benefits over the last 30 years have experienced about a 2.8% average annual increase. That's the cost of living adjustment. But over the same time period, healthcare costs, Medicare in particular, has actually grown by about 7.1% over that same period of time. And so what is likely to happen for many people that they may not realize is that although their Social Security benefits may not be getting cut, what could happen is their Medicare expenses, their out-of-pocket healthcare expenses are going to creep up. And I saw one study here recently that said that in a person's retired lifetime, they'll have as much as 85% of their total Social Security check potentially going towards just Medicare expenses. So that's a really big deal, and I think a lot of people may be underestimating that. So like I said yesterday, we have a kind of a solution for it, at least a solution for helping you plan for it. We put together a 3-part mini workshop that is live right now. I'm going to put a link here in the post that you can click on. Go to our webpage. It's 3 parts. Basically, part 1 is getting an idea of what your expenses may be in retirement, kind of mapping some of that stuff out, healthcare, all of your lifestyle expenses, basic needs, putting all of that stuff on paper to see how much your retirement may cost. We're going to also look at some of those resources that you have and how those resources may be able to provide income for you in retirement, account for taxes and inflation, and ultimately kind of identify what your retirement gap may be and see how close you may be to your retirement. And then in part 3 of the mini workshop, we start to look at ways to help you fill that retirement gap. And I've got some pretty good strategies there that can really maybe help potentially make a big difference for that. So if you haven't already, check out the mini workshop. There's a link here in the post. If you haven't liked our Facebook page, please like that. Send me some feedback or some comments. We'd love to know what you like or don't like about the presentations that we're doing here. So with that, I will see everyone probably back here tomorrow for our next video blog. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.